Hey, it's Mike, and today I want to do something a little different. I want to talk about some of the best investment books that I've ever read. And so these are not what I would call the definitive investment books, but of all the investment books that I have read since the late 90s, I would say these three have the greatest impact and have really helped me um, not lose money in the stock market. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. I mean, sometimes you talk about books that will make you money in the stock market, but I also find that it's more important to find books that will help you not lose money in the stock market. Because what happens with a lot of new traders is you blow up your portfolio and then you stay out of the market for several years and you don't want to get back in, and that's where you really lose a lot of money. So these three books were really helpful for me, and I'll explain why. And they're actually all pretty easy reads, and I think some of them are available on YouTube as audiobooks. And in this case, this first book is probably the best book I've ever read on investing. The author has literally a 6-hour seminar that he does, and it's all up on YouTube. So the first book and the best book I've ever read on trading is called Trading in the Zone, and it's written by Mark Douglas. And so basically, Trading in the Zone is about market psychology. And I think market psychology is the single most important thing when it comes to trading, because when the markets go down, people freak out, they panic sell, and then they don't want to get back into the market. That happens to just about every new trader, especially in times like these when the market, especially when a lot of the small cap stocks, the stocks that most new investors are invested in, were falling by 20, 25%. They freak out, they panic sell, and then the markets recover and then they don't want to get back in. So trading in the zone is really, really great because Mark Douglas talks about several principles that every trader should know about. And his most important principle that he talks about is that anything can happen in the market, which is the market can open up today. It could be up 10%, it could be down 10%, it could do nothing. So you have to be prepared that anything can happen in the market. And then the second big lesson that Mark Douglas talks about is you always want to trade with an edge. And the edge could be either a trading system or the fact that you have a little bit of knowledge knowing that a certain stock is going to be outperforming the market over the long term. So I highly recommend Trading in the Zone. If you're not the type of person that likes to read books, like I said, the audiobooks are on YouTube. And also he has a 6-hour seminar, which actually takes everything that he learns in the book and kind of presents it to you in a more digestible way. And I've looked at that seminar probably about 10 or a dozen times over the past year. It's a really great seminar, and he's an excellent presenter. So this is my favorite book on trading. And then the next book on trading that I really enjoy is a pretty interesting book. It was called How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market. And this was a book written in the 1950s by a man named Nicholas Darvas. And Nicholas Darvas he wasn't a Wall Street stock trader. He was actually a dancer. It was kind of interesting. He was just a guy who read a bunch of books on the stock market, and he was one of the first people to realize that stocks hitting a 52-week high will continue to rise. And because of that, he took advantage of that knowledge and created a system which he called Darvas boxes, which were essentially price targets, which was something really rare back in the 1950s. And because of this, he was able to get some incredible outperformance in the market. In a time that he did this, he was operating with systems that most investors did not trade. Most investors were holding for the long term. He was trading in and out of the market. He was one of the first sort of non-Wall Street active traders. And over the period of 2 years, he basically made $2 million, and that was 1950s money. That would be the equivalent of probably making $20 or $30 million today. But it's a really interesting story because it's told not from a Wall Street insider point of view, but from just like an individual investor point of view, so someone like us. So it's actually a really good book. I think this might be available as an audiobook on YouTube. You may have to go ahead and check, but if not, you can definitely find it. It's a pretty interesting, it's a very easy read because it's written, in the first person, and it's written by someone who's not like a Wall Street technical person. So it's just not a lot of technical information that you have to deal with. And then finally, the Snowball, Warren Buffett in his business on investing in life. Now, the thing is, I'm not necessarily a value investor. However, I do admire Warren Buffett because he has taught me to buy stocks and hold them for 10 years. And in Warren Buffett's case, he buys and holds a value stock for 10 years. I like to hold what are essentially speculative stocks or growth stocks over the course of 10 years. And what I like to do is find an industry that I think is going to be really, really big in 10 years, and then find the small companies that are likely to be dominant in those spaces in 10 years. And, looking at Warren Buffett, he teaches you how to think long term. And, we live in a day and age where we have so much information, and trading in and out of stocks is sort of the norm for a lot of new traders. So he kind of teaches you how to slow down and calm down when it comes to investing. It's always good to have that sort of that old school perspective, even if you are trading, small cap stocks. It's nice to have someone who understands the value of patience and thinking of the long term. And that's why I highly recommend reading up on Warren Buffett. And the Snowball is great because it basically takes all of his lessons in life, and you can sort of get an idea of how he invests by his mannerisms and how he approaches life. So I highly recommend The Snowball by Warren Buffett. So once again, The Snowball by Warren Buffett, How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market by Nicholas Darvas, and finally Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. I think these are my three favorite investment books, and I think you would learn a lot from any of these books. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications. I do multiple daily updates on stocks, options, and stock trading strategies. Thanks a lot. Bye.